So the Philadelphia Kennel Club, or the Kennel Club of Philadelphia, hosts the National Dog Show, which is on Thanksgiving Day. It's a 2-hour special. It's on right after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And it's on the same time everywhere across the country. And so we're fortunate today to have David Frei join us, who's one of the expert analysts that co-hosts the show with John O'Hurley. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you. It's great to be here amidst all the dysfunction and things coming at us on Thanksgiving Day. We have a great time. We hope that we'll be able to take your minds off that family dysfunction.
Well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. And before we get going, I found a picture of you, and then I was reading some of your bio, and you happen to live in one of my favorite places on earth. I used to live in Portland, Oregon, and spent a lot of time in Cannon Beach. Is that where you are currently?
Yeah, it's paradise. We've been there. We moved back there 2.5 years ago from New York City after 14 years in New York. We had been, Sherry, my wife, and I had been residents in Seattle for 20 years before we moved to New York City. So we had 14 great years in New York, but, 14 years was probably plenty for somebody who was from the Northwest, and it was just great to be back in Cannon Beach.
Well, one quick question about Cannon Beach. Can you still get sand dollars there, or they've been ruined by storms?
Haven't seen any. I think the storms have pretty much taken them out. What we have that will last forever is Haystack Rock, of course, 265 feet tall and kind of the hallmark of what we have in Cannon Beach. But, yeah, come visit us. We are regularly gathered right at a restaurant there in town called the Driftwood, which has an outdoor deck, which is good for you and your dog. So come see us.
That's great.
Hey, David, this is John.
There's your segue.
Hey, David, this is John. I want to thank you for joining us. And, I was looking over some of your bio info, and I know the show very well. Two things. First, I think this is one of your favorite days of the year. And second, you've probably seen the movie Best in Show. How loosely or closely is that based on the stuff you do?
I carry it around with me. It's a fair picture of what we do. It's a little bit over the top, but we were all concerned about the movie when we heard that it was coming out in 2000, and we were concerned because we wanted to protect the integrity of the sport and the dogs and everything. They didn't make fun of the dogs. They didn't make fun of the people, and they didn't make fun of the sport. They only made fun of the people, and we say that we're a pretty target-rich environment for something like that. And it's a fun show. We had fun with it, but, we got the real thing. So
what I love watching the dog show, and I've watched forever. Now, you've started, was it 2002? So is this your 17th year?
This is our 17th year of the National Dog Show. Before that, and overlapping with that somewhat, I did the Westminster Dog Show on television for 27 years. So dogs are a big part of my world, and it couldn't have happened to me in a greater way. And just thrilled with it. I never had a dog really in the family growing up, and got involved with dogs later. I blame it on a woman. And I moved into a house in college, and she said, "Let's get a dog." And I said, "Well, okay, 20-year-old guy will do anything that the girlfriend wants." And I said, "Okay, what kind?" And she said, "How about an Afghan hound?"
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, that's a big dog.
Yeah. So we got the dog, and 3 weeks later, the girl left, and the dog stayed, and it was the best thing that could have happened to all three of us. So got involved with dog shows, got involved with television, and it's been a great life for me. I've got the greatest job in the world, and get to do it every day with the dogs that I love and the dogs that love me. So
before we talk about the Kennel Club show, though, another thing that I think you're very proud of is the work you've done with the therapy pets. And I was kind of amazed by this, because I think any of us who have owned a cat or a dog or a cat, depending on the primacy, understand the value of a beautiful pet or an animal around you. Is that something that you still are doing and working on with the therapy dogs?
I still am. We had a charity, a 501c3 charity. Well, we were in New York. We've lessened that now. We don't have. It's not a 501c3 charity anymore, but we still have the activity called Angel on a Leash. About therapy dogs in healthcare facilities and other places. While we were in New York, we spent a lot of time at the Ronald McDonald House, where my wife was actually the director of family support. She's a Catholic chaplain. And then Grace, my dog, and I would visit the VA hospital every Wednesday. I'm a veteran, and I'm a guy, and in the age demographic of most of the patients I'm visiting there. So and they all loved Grace. I mean, they don't even know who I was, but they knew who Grace was. And it's great fun doing great things for people. Get their minds, get them to smile. If nothing else, get them to smile. Get them to talk. Maybe they haven't been talking for a while. Maybe they have other challenges that they're thinking about and facing all the time. You can get your mind off of that when you bring them a dog, and it's really rewarding.
Well, it's that unconditional love. Hey, I
have that unconditional love, and dogs are so spontaneous, and they live their life in the moment. And a lot of the patients that we visit, they're living their life in the moment too, because they may be facing some real tough diagnoses, and it's nice for us to be able to get a smile out of them as well.
I have a two-part question. It might be political, so we'll see. So as I watch the show, I'm always amazed at the judge when they do the best in show, because you've got everything from maybe a little Yorkie or a Chihuahua all the way up to a Bull Mastiff. And there's this one judge that I know must have an expertise in one particular breed or a couple. And I'm just always wondering, is it subjective? And would this group of dogs that are up for best in show, at a different show, would a different dog win? And
sure, that's what keeps the sport alive, is that it's based on the individual interpretation of a single judge at each of three levels, and you're interpreting the standard, which is a written description of the ideal specimen of that breed, usually relating form to function, what they were originally bred to do. Every dog was bred to do a job for us, whether it's sit on our lap or herd our sheep or protect our home. So you need to know what that dog was bred to do. You need to be able to picture them doing that, because you don't always get that opportunity in the show ring. And our judges started with a single breed, their own breed, and then they get involved with other breeds. They have to know that standard. And sometimes, I know what you're going with this question. If I started with Afghan hounds, does that mean I'm going to favor Afghan hounds in the best in show lineup? Well, I'm probably going to be tougher on the Afghan hound, because I probably know that breed better than anything else.
Right.
So yeah, they got to be good. But the best dog, the greatest dogs they're just like great athletes. They don't all score 40 points every night out. Sometimes they may have gotten into some pizza in your hotel room the night before, and they don't feel quite right in the ring today. But they're athletes, and they have to show, and they have to be on, and they have to be on anytime they're in front of the judge. So the judge has to know what they're doing, and ultimately they've got to be a great specimen of their own breed, and they have to put on a show. I had an old-time judge tell me once years ago, and I've held on to it ever since, it's a dog show, and you got to show. And it really is about them owning the ground they stand over and putting on a show for you.
That's great.
As you were saying that, I imagined, a dog coming out, balanced on two legs with like something going on, juggling or something. We're talking to David Frei. He's one of the co-hosts of the National Dog Show. David, two new breeds are being introduced this year, and for the life of me...
Hence knowing about different breeds, right?
And stuff like that. We were trying to pronounce the names beforehand. So one of them is the Grand Basset Griffon Vendéen, and the other one is
Almost. Almost.
All right, so
this is why I have a job. My job is safe.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Well, let him do the next one then. That's going to be the best one, Dave.
The other one I think is the Nederlandse Kooikerhondje.
Kooikerhondje?
Pretty close. All
right, so maybe I get the Russian gives me a 8. So what are these two new breeds? You could pronounce them for us.
The first one's a French breed, and it's they hunt rabbits, but it's the Grand Basset Griffon Vendéen.
Boy, was I off.
Well, grand is a French word for large. Basset means low or close to the ground, which they are, short-legged, so they can be down there with the rabbits. A Griffon refers to the wiry coat that they have, mostly around the face, but also elsewhere on the body. And Vendéen is the region of France that they're from. So a few years ago on television with the Petit Basset Griffon Vendéen, I said that name, and Mary Carrillo, who was my partner at Westminster, said, geez, your French is great. I said, yeah, my high school French teacher, Mrs. Bach, would be quite proud of me. And I'm a long ways beyond high school. That had to be 35, 40 years ago. And I'll be darned if the next day I don't get a Facebook hit from her saying, Johnny, comment allez-vous? It was great fun. But our dogs cross all these boundaries and find people through everything.
Well, they call that one the GBGV, right, for short?
Yeah, there you go, GBGV. That's what we call them. See, you're picking right up on it. You're ready to come to a dog show.
But the next one, what's the next one?
The next one is the Nederlandse, or Netherlands, Dutch, Kooikerhondje.
So it's a Dutch hound dog.
A Dutch hound. They are a duck tolling dog. Their job is to pique the duck's curiosity when they're sitting out there in the water and get them to come down a waterway into a netted trap. And in years past, that was so then you could get them and take them to market. But nowadays, as part of what our dogs are doing, they capture the ducks and band them and turn them loose and use them for wetlands research and conservation.
Wow.
So the Kooikerhondje has a great place for us.
If you're watching on the video, we had pictures of the two dogs that are up there if you want to check that out. Is this similar to the Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever?
It is. It is. Only the Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever just kind of hangs around on the bank and gets the ducks to come over to them out of curiosity, and then which is where usually a hunter with a gun will go after them. Now they've lessened that involvement too, but that was a more direct approach than just kind of channeling them down a waterway.
Wow. So the show is on. You want to tell us a little bit how many people tune in and what people can expect for the special?
We figure we're around 30 million people watching us each year, with about 20 to 25 on Thanksgiving Day and another 5 million watching the rebroadcast on the weekend, which is probably Friday but could be Saturday. Check your local listings on NBC. But the National Dog Show presented by Purina on NBC at noon in every time zone. And it's a great family fun. We say dogs until 2 on Thanksgiving Day. Hold on to the remote. Don't let the football people in your family get a hold of it. So, and then you can watch the dog show, and then there's plenty of football the rest of the day. I grew up in a football family, so I can say that.
So the dogs until 2. It's Pet Life Radio, which we'll post on our website. But there's actually a meme contest where a consumer can win up to $500 for a great meme that you guys
great
may
fun.
use.
Send us a picture of your dog doing something cute and put a caption on it. That's what a meme is, and aim it towards the dog show, and you might win a trip. You might win $500 and a trip to the dog show next year.
That'd be great. I'm going to do that with my dogs.
Yeah, Tim's got 2 rescues, a Puggle and a Chihuahua, and they're both full of personality. Would a dog like a Puggle, would that ever be considered a breed?
Well, not yet, but there's a few breeds that got their start by somebody putting a couple of different purebred dogs together to try and combine some traits in them. I said, this dog does good at herding, this dog does good at keeping the rats out of my kitchen, so I'm going to breed them together and get both traits. It doesn't always happen quite that simply, but over the course of years, maybe you can develop a breed like that. We talk about new breeds. And we talk about the new breeds this year. Those are breeds that have been around for years. And when we say new, it really means newly recognized by the American Kennel Club and eligible for competition in our show. Because these dogs have been out there. They just haven't had enough of them in this country. And they need to have a parent club watching out for them. So that's part of the requirement to get them on our show.
Yeah, so Tim, there are rules and there are ways and there are pathways to the Puggle getting
I think the Jack Russell was probably one of the more famous.
Much more famous. Yeah. Hey, David, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. We've been talking to David Frei. He's one of the co-hosts of the National Dog Show that's put on by the Kennel Club of Philadelphia. It's going to be broadcast directly after the Macy's Day Parade this year. We have a couple pictures of David with the other host, John Hurley, you might recognize from Seinfeld as Jay Peterman. You guys make a great, great duo there on screen. I'm looking at some of the pictures. But thank you again for joining us. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and remind our listeners to tune in to the National Dog Show presented by the Kennel Club of Philadelphia, and that's right after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So have a great holiday, David, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Go home and hug your dog.
Thank you.